just to tell you a little bit more about myself, as the MC said, I work at Instamojo as the head of analytics and user growth. Before that, I've also worked in several startups in different capacities. And when Bhaskar approached me for this talk, I thought it'd be a great way to leverage my experience of setting up analytic systems at various startups right from scratch. When you're starting a company, how to do analytics. We have been hearing talks about, how to do analytics at big organizations, advanced analytics. But when you're really starting up, do you need to do analytics? And if yes, how do you do this? So startup ecospace in India is booming. India is today the third largest market in terms of tech startups, and it's the fastest growing one. We can all feel that happening in Bangalore and as well as the other parts of the country. And by 2020, there will be more than 2,000 startups in India alone, and other countries are catching up. Tech startups are generally getting a lot of funding. There are innovative companies coming out of this revolution. Just like how startups are growing, the size of digital universe is also growing. All of us know that the data collection or the data growth is growing at a very, very fast pace. As you can see, the size of digital universe will double every 2 years at least. And there's been exponential growth in business data as well as sensor data, human data. The ability to collect more and more data has been increasing. And what this has been doing is that it has given us this huge amount of raw information, and we're trying to make in multiple ways to make sense of this information. I like to give an analogy from cooking, because I really like to do cooking. Raw data is like bunch of ingredients. It's like salt, pepper, sugar, flour, milk. While the analytics platform is like the utensils, stove, tools, something that you would be using to cook those bunch of ingredients, and at the end of it come up with a dish, which is what you would like to present to, like your customers, your audience, your family. That's the insights. That's the part where data actually turns into insights, and those insights can lead to actions and then eventually lead to business growth. And these insights are the ones that make a company or a culture data-driven. Once people get comfortable with data right from the beginning in a company, they become also comfortable with measuring the various aspects of business. That means they know how to measure their performance objectively. They know that their performance or like their goals, their KPIs are measurable, and they can work towards making them better. That's where they start getting objective inputs and feedback. So nobody tells you that you are just good or bad, but they tell you that you have improved by 40%, and then this is, if you do this, then you can make your improvement to even 100%. Also, people start reporting regular metrics and KPIs, and they see what's working and what's not. So it's not a blind game anymore when you start looking at data and numbers. You are not just following your gut or intuition, but you're really looking at pure factual numbers to understand where your business is growing. But now startups, right? Like, let's talk a little bit about startups. How many of you are actually working at an early stage startup? Or okay, there are a few here. I'm pretty sure that you guys would agree that startups are very lean. They don't have the resources. They do not have the money. Like, every day is a struggle to just stay afloat. Unlike big companies who have resources to leverage big vendors, like, okay, let's talk to like big companies, let them come in and set up our analytics for them. Like startups are struggling, especially if you're bootstrapped, which means that you do not have external funding. You really have to ask yourselves, do I need analytics? Like, is that really a priority for me? I have so many things to think about: product, customer, user feedback, my hiring, one of the biggest challenges for a startup. Where is analytics fitting in? And that's where what happens is that a lot of companies just don't take analytics seriously in the beginning. They think that they will do it when the time comes, when they will grow. And the time never comes really. It gets too late once you start thinking about analytics. While ideally, you should be looking at data and analytics from day one. The day you conceptualize your company, you should be focusing on measuring what you will be doing. I like to quote this pyramid, which basically showcases the journey of a company. Starts at founding stage when you have a few employees, maybe just you and your co-founder, maybe just you alone. Go to very early stage, and then you keep growing. Obviously, a lot of companies start at founding stage while only a few reach the growth stage. And data can really help you traverse that journey. We will be in this talk primarily be focusing on the first three stages: founding stage, very early stage, and early stage. And primarily, the scope of this talk will be technology startup analytics. So if your startup is making juices and selling them in stores, this may not be directly relevant, but then I hope that you will also get some insights regardless from the talk. So founding stage is when you just started your company. You alone, you or your co-founder, you just got your first two key hires to begin with. At this time, really you have to focus on key product metrics alone. You have to focus on very, very strong, but just very few metrics. Some of the examples are active users. How many people are actively using your product, say every day, every week, every month? That's one of the metrics. Retention. They are using your product, but how many of them are actually coming back again and again to use your product? Third one could be time spent. Okay, they use my product, they come back every day, but how much time do they spend? Do they spend a minute? Do they spend hours? How frequently do they use it? So just focus on 3 to 4 main metrics, and at this stage, that's what will all that matter. The other part will be qualitative user data. At this time, you really don't have thousands of customers. So many times, like sample sizes would be less, you don't have statistically significant results. But what you have is qualitative data. You've spoken to customers over the phone. You're like meeting the customers, taking customer interviews, you're doing user testing, a lot of bunch of things. It's important to log this data in a very structured way. It's very easy to just talk to a customer and then keep it all in your head. But what is important at this stage is to keep logging this data in a structured manner, maybe in a, say, Google Sheet, so that once you have done enough interviews, your team can actually go dig down into this and see whether there are patterns emerging, whether there are problems which are apparent, whether there are some insights you can derive from this. And it's a combination of intuition, qualitative data, and product metrics, which will allow you to better your product at this stage. Because really, at this time, you only want to iterate your product faster and faster to understand how you can get product market fit. Implementation is simple too at this stage. You don't need to do rocket science. Install Google Analytics, preferably via Google Tag Manager. That's as simple as just putting a script in your website or your app. Also use some tools called like Mixpanel Auto Track. I'll be giving a demo of how auto tracking works. And if you're lucky and your startup and founding stage is actually making some revenue, rely on the payment software analytics. For example, my company Instamojo, which is a payment platform, also gives you analytics. Similarly, if you're using Stripe, they will give you analytics. Just use that. Don't think too much, but just focus on the analytics out of the box that is being given by the payment product. I'll be showing you a demo of how Mixpanel Auto Track works. Mixpanel is basically a GUI product for data analytics. You go to your website. You want to track how many people are interacting with this button, the watch video button. You go, you create an event, click on this, you say, okay, so he's just typing his name, watched video. You will know how many people are clicking on it, how many times they are clicking on it. Sorry for the lag. Once you save this, okay, you will be able to see patterns right in the software. So there's a lag here because it's not clear, but basically you will be able to figure out trends and patterns right away. every day how many people are clicking on that button, how many people are taking that action, and so on. Plain simple, no engineering needed. You just have to go do some drag and dropping, understand what you want to track, and that's pretty much what you need. So that's really what you need at the founding stage. Let's say you got lucky. You were in the top 10%, and you moved from a founding stage to a very early stage. Either you started making some money, or you got some angel funding. You just now started to hire and like grow your product. At this key juncture, you will start advertising. You will start spending dollars to get more users, more traction. And that's where it's important to understand the marketing data very well. You need to know where your dollars are being spent. Are they, like, you cannot blindly spend money because somebody said that it worked for them. You'll have to track how many visitors you're getting, how many conversions you're getting from each dollar spent. Ask marketing folks in your company to start interacting with Google Analytics. Now, having been worked with marketing folks, most of them would say, oh, I don't understand Google Analytics. I don't know how it works, and I don't want to do it. But force them. It takes a few days just to learn Google Analytics. But really, and if they don't fire them, of course, but marketing folks should start interacting with GA at this stage. And UDM track every link that you create everywhere. So you would be sharing your links on blogs, social media, advertising, Google ads, Facebook ads, email marketing, and so on. UDM track everything. You would get to know in Google Analytics straight away which channel is giving you how many visitors, which channel is giving you better retained visitors, which channel is giving you highly engaged visitors. So you can focus more on that channel accordingly. UDM tracking is pretty simple. As you can see this link, this is the Cypher's day 3 schedule link, and I've just added a few UDM parameters. UDM parameters are nothing but they allow analytics software to decode your URL in such a way that they would know, if coded correctly, they would know this link is coming from a particular channel. If you do sales, say you're a B2B company like Instamojo, you have to do sales. Start using CRMs, customer relationship management softwares. They allow your sales team to track conversions. They allow you to do lead scoring. You can score your leads right out of the box. You can check rep productivity. This is just like, just from your CRM, you can do all that. And use built-in analytics for your CRM tool. Every CRM tool will give you built-in analytics. Focus on that, understand that well, and make that the KPI of your sales team. Bunch of examples, Salesforce, if you got the money, use Salesforce because Salesforce will scale with you. If you don't, then there are other solutions like Pipedrive. But then there's a plethora of CRMs available, use them at this stage. Similarly, ticketing system. Ticketing system is basically when a customer emails you, you have to reply to them and then arrange those emails and organize them properly and make sure that your replies are on time. Similar to the CRM, your ticketing system will also give you metrics out of the box. Define your support team's KPIs around that. And very importantly, monitor customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction while in founding stage was just talking to a few customers. At this stage, you will probably have hundreds of customers or maybe a few thousand customers, which is impossible to really go and talk to each one of them. In this case, you'll have to have a product to measure CSAT and take effective actions to improve it. Use a third-party tool to measure CSAT, but then your entire work or your focus should be to take actions to improve it. Week over week, month over month, your focus should be how can I improve my CSAT score. A very good CSAT score is say 4.5. Engage customers via automated email campaigns. Emails have been around for 20 years, but they've been super effective to capture the attention of any audience. Even today, email marketing works wonders as one of the best marketing channels. You do basic segmentation, which means that different cycle stage of your customers, you send them different kind of emails. If it's a new user, you send them onboarding emails. Retained user, you say send them engagement related emails. Try to make them personalized, and then measure effectiveness primarily on the basis of open and click rate. You need to know how many people are opening your email and how many people are clicking on any actionable if it is present there. That's pretty much what you need at this stage. This allows you to understand how many people are engaging with your emails. Tools, customer.io, Intercom are some of the more popular tools to do this. And they scale as you grow, so they don't cost you engineering bandwidth. Just need to sit one day, code out your emails, and be done with it. Note of caution: do not build a data warehouse at this stage. Do not even think about it. People will tell you that you need advanced analytics, you will need data warehousing. Don't listen to them. Also, do not hire a full-time analyst yet, because he will not be sure what to do once he joins you. These are the words of caution when you are at this stage. Let's say you did everything right and you moved to early stage. This is where you are growing super fast. You have raised Series A money, or your revenue is actually started to come in. You are ready to hire more people, and that's what has gotten you to like a 25, 30, 40, 50 strong company. This is the most critical step, because here you need more reliable metrics, more flexibility, and a better platform for analytics that can scale as you grow even further. This is also the time when people will not be asking you questions about product market fit, but they will be asking you hardcore numbers. Like if you will reach out to investors, they are going to just talk about how are your numbers, how is your growth story over time, what's the trends like, what's your quarter-over-quarter growth, what's your retention curves, what's your cohorts, and like a bunch of the advanced questions will start coming in at this stage. And you just will not be able to get away with them by saying that, oh, my product is awesome. Since it's the most critical step, it's also important to do it right. And if it's done right, it will be rewarding for the significant amount of future, but if done wrong, it can set you back, and you'll be forced to do a lot of rework sooner than later if done wrong. So this is probably the most critical step in terms of setting analytics for a young company. Again, how do you do this? You use an advanced analytics software as a service and implement event tracking. There are a bunch of tools around which have their own pros and cons. Some of them has been listed here. But these SaaS tools, what they do is they allow you to track every action that a user is taking on your website. We saw something similar with AutoTrack when I showed you the video. But this will be more advanced. Here you will be able to track server-side events, which means that you will be able to track revenue, you'll be able to track signups, you'll be able to pretty much track everything that you want to track. While this is just a means to an end, the right thing to spend time here is to get the right schema. You need to know what you should be tracking, how you should be tracking. Attribution and identification is important, which means that if somebody is coming to you via Facebook, it has to be attributed well. If user A is doing an action, the tracking should specify user A, cannot specify user B. So a lot of testing needs to be done at this stage to make sure that your implementation is right. This stage may take some time. Your engineers will have to maybe spend a couple of weeks doing this, but that's pretty much it. After that, you will not need engineering help ever for a significant amount of time. This is the data warehouse stage as well. You will need to provision a cloud-based analytical data warehouse at this step. A couple of the most popular ones are Amazon Redshift and Google BigQuery. Both of them are easy to set up. Both of them are super easy to scale. Literally takes a day to like set them up, and then another day to just if you want to scale it up as you see user growth. It also works well with your cloud ecosystem. Most startups today either use Google Cloud or AWS. And based on what ecosystem you have been using, you can use a similar, the same ecosystem database. So if you're using AWS, you can use Amazon Redshift. That will gel very well with your other systems. And then there are other pros and cons, costing, like how will they scale? Do you like their interface? Bunch of things. But then definitely these two are something that you should look at this stage. We talked about tracking events. We talked about data warehouse. But how to bring this data into data warehouse? The data is being, at this stage, data is being generated by multiple platforms. It's being generated by your analytics service, your email marketing tool, your CRM, your customer support. Like every service that you use is generating data. And it has to be brought to a data warehouse. Do not do it in-house. Like do not ask your engineers to make this. Focus on your core product because you're still a startup. You don't have the luxury of many engineers really. And especially in Bangalore today, like hiring an engineer is like almost starting a company every time. So do not build ETL in-house. Don't even focus on that. You'll spend too many resources for doing something which is not a core strength. You will then continuously keep spending maintenance cost on it. And then your engineers, they will be always disturbed to leave their core work and come help you when something breaks down in the pipeline. Today, several one-click ETL tools are available in the market. There's almost a revolution in the middleware SaaS, where just by a click of a few buttons, you can literally pull data from all your services that you're using, be it mailing service, be it intercom, be it SaaS analytics service, to the choice of your data warehouse. I was given some of the examples here. Use these services effectively. This will just allow all the data from all your services to come to the data warehouse. What this helps you in? This helps you in analyzing your business across functions and helps you in understanding the complexity of a business. Now, a business is like a black box, really. It's a very complex structure which has multiple components. And the leaders of that business need to understand that well in order to optimize it. What analytics does is, it allows you windows inside that black box. So it's this huge black box, I cannot open it, but I can maybe draw a small window and I can peep in. Oh, I'll see something. Okay, that's interesting, I saw something. Then maybe some other window will open one day. I'll see that. And slowly more and more windows will open and I'll get to know more and more about my business over time. And that'll allow me to deconstruct that black box from something that I did not know how was functioning to a very manageable workpiece, which I can then optimize, improve, like work with the people around me and make it even more successful business. Some examples you will be able to do once you bring all the data in your data warehouse is you will be able to tell if people who are raising support tickets on your platform, are they giving you lesser revenue? People who are giving you lower CSAT ratings, do they also give you less revenue? What's the retention correlated with? Is retention highly correlated with the email that you sent them yesterday? So that'll allow you to understand these multiple pieces and bring the real insight, which is what is going to make your analytics endeavor really successful. We're coming to the end where I've actually kept the most important piece for the end, which is basically the ability to visualize your data. Spreadsheets, cumbersome to understand. Most people are not comfortable with that. The whole point in a startup where there are a few people is that everybody should be able to understand how the business is doing. Should not be the prerogative of just a few at the top, but really everybody who is a part of that startup should be able to understand what's going on, able to answer questions, ask questions. Visual reporting or dashboarding brings analytics to everyone. So once you've done your data warehouse, it's important to visualize it using charts, dashboards. Why? Because it's way easier to consume and comprehend a huge amount of data when you do the visualizations right. It elicits more questions because more people understand it, more questions will come. You will be forced to answer those questions and you will get more insights. Because remember, just one or two people just cannot ask every question, like their limits will come. So you want the designer in your team maybe to ask you analytical questions. You want the sales guy who is like going on the road asking questions about your numbers. And if they find something different, then they should be able to understand it and ask you the question that, oh, the ground reality is different, your numbers are different, why is that? You don't want to miss that. And that's exactly what brings the data-driven culture alive in a company. That's what makes the team empowered. That's what enables really everybody in a very small organization where people are working very closely together and also wearing multiple hats. Sometimes in startups, people are not confined to that role, that one role. Like they'll be, oh, I am the marketing guy and I'm the analytics person as well. Sometimes I also do sales and I also make presentations when investors come in. It's not unheard of. That's a pretty common scenario in any early stage company. So only when they are able to understand what's going on in the business from a visual perspective, they will be able to appreciate analytics and also bring a lot of insights which can come out of this. Lastly, this is really the time where you should hire a strong analytics person in your company. So far I've been like asking you not to do it, but this is really the stage because